All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? In today's video, we are doing another gear set review. This one, in my opinion, is by far the set that caught my eye the most during the patch notes, which was the new monster set, the Nazaray Monster Mask. And now, the set's pretty interesting. It's the set that basically can extend for every 25 ult. It can extend your damage over time effects you apply to an enemy. Major and minor debuffs. So every 25 ult is an extra second. So if you have Venomous Claw and you cast 100 ult, friggin' something, and well, let's just say 100 ult, you get 4 extra seconds on your Venomous Claw. And so I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to test a couple different things that I was curious about, because this type of set has the most potential to break something in the game, in my opinion, because of how it works. Like when you stack a bunch of dots and you stack a bunch of defiles and everything, and you can now extend them by up to 20 seconds, because you can have up to 500 ults, so 4 seconds per 100 ults, 20 seconds maximum on top of everything. So you could have 30 seconds on dot ticks. And so I was looking at Venomous Claw and I was like, oh man, 20 seconds. So Venomous Claw, how it works is it applies a dot to the opponent, and every 2 seconds it ticks 20% harder. So if you add extra seconds to Venomous Claw, how much harder is it going to hit? Which is what I'm doing in the tests, and a bunch of other things kind of popped up while I was trying it. And so, number one, the escalation didn't go by 20% throughout the entire duration. It seemed like as soon as the Venomous Claw duration was supposed to end, the 20% ramping stopped, or it was shortly after. But towards the end, I had multiple stacks of the same dot, and so you can see it here. 5k, it's a 5k non-crit and 8k crits, and you see multiple ticks. That's 6 ticks so far, 7 ticks, so that's 14 seconds of the exact same dot amount. So it seems like although the dot still ticks and escalates, it's just the final tick amount. It doesn't continue to ramp up. So still extremely powerful, but it isn't as powerful as I thought it was. So you got to tip your hats to ZeniMax for that, because they definitely coded that part correctly. Because I was looking, I was like, dude, you're gonna be able to get a 5-figure dot tick on this, and people that can't purge are just going to cry, justifiably so. The other thing that I'm testing here is, you see I leap at a range, and so I was very interested in testing this with the DK, but we encountered a problem, and the problem is you have to be within 12 meters of the cast of the opponent in order for this to go off. And so leap doesn't work sometimes. So if you're too far away and you leap on somebody, it's going to cast where you're at and not where you go to and land to. And so that made me a little sad because I was very excited to use this type of set on a DK. And obviously, if I'm running a DK, I'm leaping, but you see me hitting Venomous Claw, and you see it's not applying to them. It's applying to the people in the front because they're within the 12 meters from where I leaped at, but the guy in the back, it did not apply to him. And so I'm going back and forth and I'm testing this, and it's not where you land, it's where you cast. And so if you do use leap with this set, because this set I think is going to be very powerful on a Dragon Knight. I think it's going to be powerful on a Necromancer. You need to make sure you're within 12 meters of the opponent when you cast, so that they get this debuff, so that you're applying these dots. So watch when I stack on top of them. So I'm showing this once again when I back up. So I'm testing other ults. So you can't apply this debuff with a ranged ultimate. You can't. You have to be in range. So if you're going to try and use Toxic Barrage to extend the duration of other dots, you have to be within 12 meters of them. And so that's not something bow builds or gankers want to typically do. And so they definitely, once again, in my opinion, that's a good way to go about doing it. So everything I tried to test and I didn't test everything, but everything I tried to test to break this set did not break this set. so very, very good so far. It's still going to be powerful in my opinion. I think the stacked with Kin Marcher could be quite effective, especially in group play. I think in group play this is going to be very effective. So once again I stack, hit Dawnbreaker, and you see the animation. It's like this little cloudy thing all stacking around them. You see how they all get it. And now watch how long this Dawnbreaker dot ticks. And so we test different ults here. We test Dawnbreaker. we are going to test the bow ult, Toxic Barrage. And I know some people are going to scoff right away and they're like, dude, that counts as a beam. Toxic Barrage can be reflected by Spell Wall, and Soul Assault can't. Soul Assault, Zon, these other beams cannot. And so I was curious if Toxic Barrage technically counted as a beam for that reason, because it just doesn't work the same as the other beams in the game. Toxic Barrage does not get this buff. You do not get the dot buff on top of it. Maybe if you stacked multiple or whatever, but yeah, I couldn't get a duration on it, not in the same way I could with Dawnbreaker. And I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you can extend somebody else's. I didn't test that, but yeah, we're going through Dawnbreaker. We're testing the range. Like, can I back up? I was still very curious about how it stayed on people, but yeah, made sure the gist is you have to be within the cast of the opponent. So yeah, what's this going to be best on? Once again, I think DKs. I think this monster set with DKs could be very effective. I think this very well could be more of like a dueling set if you're trying to stack multiple different status effects and dots and defiles on people. I think if you're looking at classes that can, if you can try and find a way to stack as many as possible, and then run this, I think it could be quite effective. Like, I'm thinking dot DK with bleeds, their damage over time effects, different poisons, and then you have run and charged weapons, maybe with the poison status effect or like shock or whatever, just multiple status effects, multiple debuffs on the enemy, and I think that's the way to go about doing it. And yeah, I think this could be pretty gross. And so obviously if you're in a group and you're running Kin Marcher, like I said, that's all debuffs, and you're extending the duration on all of those. Extended duration on something like Major Vulnerability would be quite effective. So yeah, I'm gonna run out the rest of the test here so you guys can feel free to look at it. I don't want you to take my word for it. Like I tested Toxic Barrage. You can feel free to check it out yourself. That didn't work. Oh, last thing, I tested the dual wield ultimate Thrive in Chaos. And that ult has not been useful in PvP for a while. There's no upfront damage over time effect or upfront damage burst like other ultimates. There's no CC to it. It's a little bit clunkier. It's a little bit harder to land sometimes. But I tried Thrive in Chaos, and it extends the dot duration of Thrive in Chaos. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, I mean, it also heals you for 50% of the damage done. So if you hit 2 or 3 people with Thrive in Chaos and you have 25-30 seconds going of this ultimate, that's a long period of just having incredible healing on your character. And so I don't know, I think this set might make Thrive in Chaos a thing. It might, especially like on a DK where you can fossilize and you can kind of ensure that it lands. You fossilize and then you hit them with it, and yeah, I don't know. It's one of these things where I want to test this in PvP. I wish I could test this in real time, but you look how many people I hit and look how much healing. Obviously, like it's going to be very rare that you run across this many people, but or hit this many people and whatever. But like that's so much healing with so many dot ticks coming in, like so much damage with dot ticks. And this isn't even on a build. Like this isn't actually a viable build. Or an actual build, and I was hitting 11k on the dummies, so that's gonna be like 4 or 5k, like 4k per tick in PvP. You can definitely hit harder. Like this is just mix and matching sets, just trying to run stuff together. Nothing optimized at all, and it's hitting pretty hard. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide them in the section below. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.